Hello, welcome to module number 3 for ED 584 for the spring 2024 semester. Let's go ahead and we will get into this. And let me share my screen. All right, so it opens up into the home page, and let me go down through this. So module 3 scheduled for January 29th through February the 4th, and I will be opening it no later than January 22nd. I like to open the next module a week before the official date. So we're getting to the end of January, getting into early February. And there's two ways to get into the module. First way is you go in through the previous module, go to module number 3. And then the other way is to come in and just enter through the home screen. So let's go ahead, go in there, get going. And so the photos for this go around, as we're getting into early February, very close to the birthday of our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. And he was from Western Illinois, like I was, in farm country. He grew up very close to where I grew up. The top photo is of his birthplace, and I took that back in April of 2019. And then the second photo is of his funeral procession to the U.S. Capitol in 2004 after he had passed away. I was at Virginia Tech, and I drove in on a hot early summer day to watch the procession, and I was also able to get into the Capitol. After waiting a while in line, finally got into the Capitol around midnight, where the president, the former president, was lying in state. So let's go ahead, get going. You're watching the introductory video. And so the purpose of this module is to examine statistical issues concerning probability, normal data distributions, and sampling distributions. The use of SPSS supports calculation of some of the statistics involved. Rules of probability are reviewed and related to frequency distributions and probability distributions. Mutually exclusive, independent, complementary, and conditional outcomes are studied regarding the probability of two or more outcomes for a given event. Importantly, the expected value concept is discussed and sample calculations performed. Variance and standard deviation calculations for a probability distribution are conducted. Characteristics of the normal distribution are reviewed, and the empirical rule, or the 68%, 95%, and 99% of normal distributions, is further examined. Z-scores are calculated and contextualized in relationship to normal distributions. Through the use of Z-scores, proportions are identified in relationship to probability. The review of probabilities and the normal distribution lead to the study of sampling distributions. Understanding sampling distributions and how they form the basis of the theoretical background for inferential statistics is very important. Students should spend time reflecting upon the definition of sampling distributions and deepening their understanding of the term sampling error, biased estimator, or unbiased estimator. It is essential that a clear conceptual understanding of the difference between sample standard deviation and the sampling distribution standard deviation, and that's also known as standard error, or in the case of means, the standard error of the mean, SEM, be developed. The ability to estimate the standard error of the mean from sample data is essential, and the simple formula is reviewed. The relationship between estimated standard error, sample standard deviation, and sample size is an important concept to understand. And I will let you, at your convenience, go through and read over the objectives. And then the directions is for our video presentations. There's a YouTube on Introduction to Probability, Intro to Standardized Z-Score, and normal distribution, probability of sample proportions example, and sampling distributions. Then a YouTube video on finding the z-score, and then using a z-score table. The readings from the statistics for the behavioral sciences is chapter 5, and that's on probability, and there's also the supplemental PowerPoint. Chapter 6 on normal distribution, and also the supplemental PowerPoint. And then finally, chapter 7, sampling distributions, and that is, there's also the supporting PowerPoint. And how to use SPSS, chapter 3 on descriptive statistics, and chapter 4 on graphing data. So for your assignments, we've got the module reflective commentary, and I've got my 2 cents up here. And I know I don't require responses to any of the reflections, but please feel free. Feel free if there's something of interest, something piques your interest, whether it's for my what I put up for my 2 cents or one of the other students in the class. Feel free to respond and get a discussion going. And then I also have a link here for the first quantitative research assignment. And for the first one, well, I have items in the book at the end of the chapters, items for you to respond to and complete those, and then submit it here through Canvas. And then as we move into the next module, and that will examine hypothesis testing. And for that module, we'll be looking at chapter 8 and chapter 9 of the SBS text. So let me stop the share. And as always, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to let me know. I know we are going to have our first my first virtual office hours. If those dates and times do not work for you, feel free to let me know. We can set another date. I can set another time, visit with you. If it's about course assignments, or if you wish to discuss your research ideas and your research interest. So that concludes the introduction and instruction for module 3, and I will talk to you later.